Nice rides, e-bikes as they hit the streets today. The Fox 9 Morning News at 7 starts now.
You're watching the Fox 9 Morning News.
Good looking shot from Boom Island of Minneapolis and our skyline. So pretty and all that bright sun out there, and everything's still nice and green with all the rain we've had. Good to have you along on this Monday morning. Thanks for waking up with the Fox 9 Morning News. I'm Tom Butler.
And I'm Alex Kendall. Well, parts of eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin, they are cleaning up after being slammed with severe weather.
There have been reports of several tornadoes touching down just outside of the metro. They'll likely confirm that today, if in fact they were. And this morning, incredible video continues to come in showing the intense skies and the damage left behind. Our Bill Keller is live this morning with an update from the Scandia area where they were hit pretty hard. Bill, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, tornado or not, Tom and Alex, the damage is unmistakable. We're here along the western shore. This is Bone Lake behind me, and you can see the destruction left behind from that powerful line of storms that moved through the area yesterday. Take a look at how many mature trees were snapped in half, some uprooted. There are homes damaged, roofs now covered with tarps, and there will be plenty of cleanup. The storms, as I say, uprooting some trees, even flipping over docks. There are pole barns that will need extensive repairs. No match for the strong wind. Farmers using, well, they're used to having their crops damaged with storms like this, but in this case, it was a solar farm that actually sent some pretty unusual debris flying into the neighboring yards.
That's one of the solar panels from across the street. It's amazing how much force that must have been coming through or carrying these things. They aren't light.
That takes a lot of wind shear. Yeah. You know, you're talking some real heavy duty winds. I've never seen that. I'm almost 52 years old, and that's unique.
Yeah, just over the border in nearby Polk County, Wisconsin, people cannot seem to catch a break. Take a look at this video showing some serious damage. That's Bone Lake Township near Luck, Wisconsin. The Polk County Sheriff says no reports of any injuries from Sunday's storm, but again, plenty of damage to homes and barns. Keep in mind, this is the same area that was one of the hardest hit during last weekend's storm. You hear beeping. XL Energy still on the scene. They've been working all night trying to restore the power and the area. A lot of these homeowners staying someplace else because of the extensive damage to their properties. Again, the strong winds pretty much devastating anything in its path. Tom?
Yeah, we can see that. All right, Bill, thanks so much. And when there is a threat for severe weather, it is important to have the Fox 9 weather app handy. You will get updates from our weather team, access to the latest radar, even information on traffic and school closures, and you can send us your pictures of any storm damage in your area to be featured right here on Fox 9.
Developing out of Northern California, a food festival ends in gunfire.
Yeah, the shooting in the town of Gilroy leaves at least 4 people dead, including the gunman. Our Kelly O'Connell joins us now from the newsroom with the latest on the story.
Good morning. Police are currently still searching for a possible second suspect who may have helped the initial gunman when he shot and killed 3 people and wounded 15 others. This happened yesterday at the popular Gilroy Garlic Festival. It's an annual 3-day event there, attracting about 100,000 people. Investigators say the suspect cut through the fence to avoid security. Once inside, police say he appeared to randomly shoot at people. Police quickly responded. In fact, in less than a minute, they were there shooting and killing the suspect.
This is one of those press conferences you never want to have to give in your community. And it's sort of a nightmare that you hope you never have to live in reality. But unfortunately, we find ourselves in this circumstances where we have to live this today.
You can see the panic as people try to flee. The victims have been taken to the hospital. Of the 15 people injured, staff say 5 have been treated and released. The others remain hospitalized, but the conditions ranging from critical to fair. Alex?
Okay. Thank you, Kelly. Just so sad. There's a rescue mission at a local river has now turned into a recovery effort. Crews are continuing their search for an 11-year-old boy who was last seen swimming in a river near Mankato. Search and dive teams have combed the Blue Earth River. Investigators say the boy and his group were swimming Saturday night when a current pulled them to deeper water. That's when the boy suddenly disappeared. Crews say they will continue their search until they recover the child.
Devastation for the family. That's awful. a young kid, you feel terrible. You hate to even think of something like that, especially with the age. 11 years old, your whole life to live, and probably just a regular day going out swimming, and it's a catastrophe.
Investigators are not releasing the boy's name yet. They say this area of the river is known for sharp drop-offs underwater.
Minneapolis police say more than 6,700 Priority 1 police calls did not get immediate attention in the last year, and they are blaming a staffing shortage. New data shows that on average, around 17 times a day in the last year, dispatch did not have an officer to send when someone called in with a Priority 1 emergency. Priority 1 calls include shootings, sexual assaults, and robberies in progress. The chief of police is looking to add officers to the force, but he's up against a city council that is largely against it.
There's no quicker way to erode trust in our police department than calling 911 when you need help the most and not having them show up. We need to do something about it.
Once again, is a racist who makes ever more outrageous racist remarks.
Some of the Democrats hoping to take on the president next year were quick to weigh in. But as they gear up for this week's massive two-night Democratic debate in Detroit, they are facing their own race issues.
We'll see.
The frontrunner Joe Biden may come out swinging. His support among black voters could ultimately carry him across the finish line, but he will be on stage right between Kamala Harris and Cory Booker, both of whom have attacked him on school desegregation and busing, something that seemed to catch him off guard in the last debate.
Well, he has to be careful with swinging. He will come out better prepared, I would expect, and if he doesn't, then I think there needs to be some questions about his viability going forward.
And while Democrats this week focus on Michigan, President Trump is heading to Ohio for a campaign stop. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
7:08, we'll take a look at some of the other stories making headlines now at this hour. President Trump has announced that he is nominating Texas Representative John Ratcliffe for Director of National Intelligence. The move comes as officials say current director Dan Coats will resign in the coming days. During his 2 years in office, Coats has been at odds with the president over several issues.
And Hawaii is on alert for a potential hit from soon-to-be Hurricane Eric. The tropical storm is expected to develop into a hurricane late today or early tomorrow and could reach Category 2 strength, though it's too early to tell if Eric will be a direct threat to Hawaii, but rough surf and increased rip currents are expected to impact the Big Island.
Yeah. You can see the damage there. We've had some damage in our area because of storms. Let's check in with Keith Marler, find out about what happened, and at least it sounds like we have a day where we can kind of exhale, Keith, on this Monday.
That's exactly right, as we are looking at a beautiful little stretch taking us on into the better part of our day-to-day. That glorious little start for us greets us as we head on out the door with that blue sky, a little patchy cloud cover, and temperatures that are very well placed into the 60s for us this morning. Now, those tornadoes of yesterday, those 5 tornado reports were across parts of McLeod County, Washington County, and the North Metro, and out in Barron County, Wisconsin. I'll show you exactly where those were coming up in 10 minutes at 7:19. In the meantime, today, we start off on that beautiful tranquil note. Everything's calmed down nicely. 65 degrees here in the metro right now, 64 in St. Cloud, 61 in Hinckley, 64 in Red Wing, back to 70 already in La Crosse, and widespread lower 60s across northern Minnesota. Bemidji, the last to hang on to those upper 50s. We're looking at visibilities unrestricted now across the board, simply your map of reassurance. We've had reduced visibilities kind of play hide and seek with us over the course of the morning, the worst of which was down in Windham, where we were down to the goose egg. Less than a quarter-mile visibility in Windham way back about 2.5 hours ago. Now we're looking at a clearing trend as our old low and our old cold front get on out of here. High pressure out across the Dakotas builds on in. It's really a Canadian high pressure system. And as that settles on in for the better part of the day today, it's going to provide us with a northwest wind 10 to 15 miles per hour and a very pleasant afternoon. So for today, sun and patchy cloud cover, northwest winds 10 to 15 and a high 75 degrees. Is it average? No, but it's beautiful. Average high for this time of year is 83. 75 feels absolutely gorgeous for us as we head on out. Overnight tonight, very pleasant.
Welcome back to the Fox 9 Morning News. We are taking a look in Maple Grove. This is 94, of course, heading eastbound. As you can see, lots of slowdowns for our normal morning rush hour commute. But this bad boy is slowing things down, even though it is pulled over onto the side of the road. People are just kind of checking it out. So if you are taking 94 eastbound and heading into the metro, maybe continuing on 94 or taking 494 southbound, in the next couple minutes. I'd give yourself a few extra minutes. I'll get you that drive time in just a moment. Until we look at that, though, that is, of course, the crash. We do have some slowdowns at the 101. There was a crash near Rogers, St. Michael area earlier, also a little bit slower through that area. And this crash did just clear. Cleared about 5 minutes ago or so, but it is still seeing some slowdowns on 10 as well. Overall, look at the Metro map. If you look a little bit tighter, we get that out of the way. You can see that things are looking decent, other than, of course, 494, your typical slowdowns in that area. Take a look at your drive-in, see what it looks like. Let's get you that Northwest Metro drive time to see how things are shaping up. Eastbound from St. Michael to 494 at about 18 minutes or so at this point in the morning. And if you're taking 169 today, southbound from 610 to 694, it's about 4 minutes. Continuing on to 394, add another 8 minutes to that. And finally, if you are heading into St. Paul today, 35E, 94, both looking pretty A-OK so far this morning. I'll have an update coming up in about 20 minutes. Tom, over to you.
All right, Kendall, sounds good. Thank you. It is 7:16 Butler business time for you on this Monday morning. U.S. trade talks with China expected to resume over the next 24 hours. Last month, President Trump announced he would hold the new talks and for now wait to implement any new tariffs. But if the talks don't go well, the president says he is ready to roll out new tariffs on $300 billion worth of Chinese imports. The trade war with China has been ongoing now for nearly a year. Some good news for Twitter. It is gaining more users and making more money. The company reported higher than expected earnings for the second quarter. User and advertising revenue rose by 18%, finishing the quarter at $841 million. Daily active users also averaged 139 million during the quarter. That's 5 million more users than it had just 3 months ago. A new study finds major grocery stores are selling leafy greens tainted with listeria. Consumer Reports sampled a variety of greens, including kale, spinach, and lettuce from stores including Whole Foods and Costco. The study found that among the 284 samples, 6 contained the bacteria. The Centers for Disease Control isn't too concerned about the results. The CDC says most of the time, healthy people do not get sick from eating listeria. If you order food from a delivery service, listen to this. You may want to reconsider after hearing this. A new study by U.S. Foods finds 28%, almost 30% of delivery drivers confess to nibbling on your customer food. That's more than about half of the food delivery workers that they say they're tempted to dig in. They don't do it, but they're tempted just by the smell of what would be your meal. It doesn't seem all that surprising, though. About 80% of customers receiving their food deliveries have suspected some of their food was taken. And finally, the Baby Shark empire, is growing. The popular children's song, Baby Shark, has inspired everything from toys to a live tour and now a cereal. Won't that be pleasant to hear first thing in the morning? Kellogg's is coming out with a Baby Shark cereal so you can sing right along with your kids at the breakfast table. The cereal maker is partnering with Pinkfong, that's the creator of the viral video children's song, to launch the product. Flavors in the cereal include berry-flavored loops and marshmallows. It'll be available soon at select stores in the U.S. Can't get enough of the Baby Shark. Keith Marler is back, and we're glad he is on this Monday morning. And a lot of us are thinking about maybe a better weather week, Keith. That'd be nice after some ruckus in our atmosphere yesterday.
Indeed, but that was coming off of what was a glorious week. Last week as well, most of the week last week was just gorgeous, culminating into Saturday. And then, of course, we had our, again, as you said, our very busy day on Sunday. Now we're clearing that sky out, plenty of sunshine, some fair weather clouds. Temperatures are in the 60s to start us off now. 65 degrees our current reading, a dew point noticeable, but very pleasant at 63 and going down, by the way. Our dew point's falling into the 50s as we move on into the afternoon and evening, so a very comfortable dew point as opposed to barely noticeable. West-south winds around 5 miles per hour, change over to the northwest between 10 and 15. Old cold front taking all storm threats out of our area, no problem late last night. Even the rain is just about out of Wisconsin. A clearing trend, a secondary cold front changes the wind direction as a Canadian high-pressure ridge builds on in here and gives us a beautiful afternoon. But we mentioned Sunday, so let's discuss that. Our 5 tornado reports across the area going from McLeod County in the early to mid-afternoon, taking us right around that 316 mark near Biscay, and then around 340 in Silver Lake. That'll just south of Highway 7 there, just south of Silver Lake, out near Hutchinson. These tornado reports in McLeod County, the National Weather Service are sending their team out to assess the damage. Of course, plenty of video and damage reports coming out of especially in and around Scandia and just to the west of Scandia along Highway 97 on both sides of that and out near Forest Lake. Again, the Weather Service assessing those damage reports as well and figuring out and determining strength based upon that damage alone in track. And then out in Barron County, a tornado report not until much later in the afternoon into the evening at around 7 o'clock last night, just south of Highway 8. As we go through the day today, for us, though, tranquil weather, and that's going to continue for several days. Sunshine to partly cloudy sky today with extra clouds across northern Minnesota. Most of us in the 70s. Northern Minnesota with the clouds keeping it in the 60s for the day today. Sunshine in 70s, beautiful feeling for everyone into the day on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, upper 70s to near 80 with plenty of sunshine to decorate the day. A little impulse tries to ride into western Minnesota, but that should be eaten up and shunted before I can do too much for the rest of us. As we go on in through the day today, then partly cloudy sky, a high of 75 degrees. Enjoy another beautiful week this week. 77 in sunshine for us Tuesday, 80, or at least near there on Wednesday as we wrap up July. And then welcome August with a very seasonable 82 degrees. We go on into the seasonable low to mid 80s as we head on into our first weekend of next month with maybe a chance for a rumble on Saturday afternoon. The Fox 9 Morning News will return. We're back right after this break.
Welcome back to the Fox 9 Morning News.
It is 7:24. Welcome back. Here's a look at what's trending online. Well, she used to be pictured in magazines. She's certainly used to it. But for the upcoming September issue of British Vogue, Meghan Markle will be guest editing instead. This will be the first in the publication's 103-year history. The Duchess of Sussex has been working on the project for about 7 months now. She's been collaborating with actors, models, politicians, and authors, focusing on everything from diversity and mental health to climate change and voting rights. And Mick Jagger apparently wasn't very confident his rock and roll career would take off. In fact, his former accountant says the Rolling Stones frontman began putting money way back in his 20s. Jagger never thought he would still be performing in his 70s, probably not. Well, that prediction sure missed the mark. At 76 years old, he's still going strong and is currently on tour following heart surgery. So I'm glad he's still on tour. Wow. Still ahead, the Twins leave Chicago with a series win. How they managed to rack up 11 runs against the White Sox as they get ready for a well-earned day off. But first, we are checking in with our pinball wizard. We need to hear that song today, Pinball Wizard, Shane Wells.
Good morning. It's Throwback Monday here. We are in an arcade bar. I got my tokens ready to play. Which game will we choose? Well, luckily we have some pinball enthusiasts here who are going to help me through it. That's coming up after the break.
Welcome back to the Fox 9 Morning News. Now here's your weather on the 9s.
We're looking at a beautiful day today. Plenty of sunshine for us greets us as we head on out the door. Looking nice. Temperatures in the very pleasant 60s this hour. 63 degrees in Maconia, 64 in Anoka, 65 in the Twin Cities officially, 64 in Hastings and in Northfield this hour. Widespread mid-60s. Bald